Now, the one chemical that was actually reduced was cortisol. And cortisol is a stress chemical, and it goes down in so many studies with animals, showing that both people and animals are becoming more relaxed when they're in this relationship. By the way, this study with the 18 individuals and the dogs, this was the one thing that was not reduced in the dogs. And what the researchers hypothesized is that because the dogs were coming into a new room, so the room, which I didn't describe, it was an empty room. It had two chairs where there was a veterinary physiologist and then a nurse practitioner psychologist who was there. And then the individual was sitting on a blanket on the ground. And so these dogs were not familiar with the individual. So some of them did experience stress. So they had an increase in cortisol. All the humans had reduced cortisol. But there are many other studies, and I want to talk about one, which Drs. Pendry and Vandergriff did. They have written many studies about cortisol and pet therapy dogs and the human-animal interaction. And in one of their studies, they took 249 college students and they broke them up into 4 groups. Group number 1 was a group that could spend 10 minutes petting dogs or cats. And so they got to spend time, multiple days over the course of this quarter. And prior to spending time with these dogs and cats, they had their cortisol salivary, so from their saliva, salivary cortisol tested before, during, and after, as did the dogs and cats. And then that's one part. There's a second group then of students who are allowed to watch. So they're physically standing there and they're not allowed to pet the animals, but they can watch this interaction. And then there was a third group that could watch it on a screen. So they're nowhere in the same vicinity. They're just watching these images of people with cats and dogs. And then the fourth group has no interaction with animals whatsoever. They don't have pets. They're not seeing images, none of that. And what this study showed, and actually other studies similar to it, is that those that were petting the cats and dogs had the lowest cortisol levels over time, significantly lower. And that by having pets in these environments with people, that their cortisol, their whole stress will reduce significantly.